Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, November 15th. So we have the moon in Leo all day. Leo energy is very passionate. It's a fire energy. So we're big, we're bold, we're brave, we're courageous. We're very playful. We're semi-dramatic, if I do say so myself. But overall, especially still being in Scorpio energy, this moon, this fiery moon, this Leo moon is definitely a help. Now, today is Venus's last day in Scorpio energy, preparing to move into Sag energy, a sister fire sign to this Leo energy. So like any day, anytime that we have a planet preparing to move out of one energy and into the next, things intensify, things get extreme. And there are 10 different aspects here today. 7 of them involve this very intense, very bold, very loud, semi-dramatic moon in Leo. So the moon goes ahead first and foremost and semi-squares, which is a little bit of a tension point with Mars. Now Mars is retrograde in Gemini energy, really kind of putting a block on what it is that we're actually physically able to accomplish. We're not able to kind of put our life force energy out in the world. We're stuck in our inner realms, really strategizing and debating between the two choices, the two options, the two directions that we currently have to choose from. Now the moon in Leo semi-squaring, again, tension point with Mars, can definitely fire us up in all the right or wrong ways. We might find ourselves overly passionate, overly aggressive, and wanting to make a move and truly expressing ourselves, or we can find ourselves a little bit agitated, a little bit frustrated with the lack of progress and with the lack of ability to actually go out in the world and make things happen. We have a beautiful aspect taking place, though, between Venus, again, at the final degrees here, Scorpio energy, trining, which is a beautiful harmonization of energies, with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, who is retrograde in Piscean energy. This is what gives us our trine. We got Scorpio energy, Pisces energy. It's some water on water action. So Venus and Jupiter come together. And this is a very upbeat, positive, optimistic, friendly type of energy. We are really getting in touch with our wants, with our needs, with our desires, with our ideas. We are almost at the end of our empowerment story that Venus and Scorpio has been going through. So this is like a renewal of our spirits, of our soul, of our confidence, of our vision. So this is going to kind of boost our spirits up, strengthen us, give us this bold and brave and kind of courage that we need, because we are about to close the door on eclipse season and jump into a brand new path and direction. But the Venus energy is here to kind of make us a little bit soft with it. We're not aggressive. We want to be strong, but there's a grace to us as well. So we're going to feel a lot of feels. Again, Venus kind of rules over that heart chakra. And if you haven't listened to the Ascension symptoms for this week, I'm going to recommend you go do that, because Jupiter magnifies whatever's going on in Venus right now. She's all up in the heart chakra. She is almost finished her empowerment story, which means that we're going to have some big feels go on. We also are going to have this want, need, and desire to be very expressive about what it is that we are feeling. And we are just kind of wanting to come alive again. Again, many of us curled up in a ball, just try to wait out this very deep and dark and intense and extreme Scorpio season. But now we're turning a corner. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, which of course is that Sag energy that Venus is about to jump into. And of course, if you haven't listened to the astro forecast that I put out for Venus moving into Sag, I would definitely recommend you do that, because we're getting some pep in our step. We're getting our spirits lifted. We are coming out of the darkness. We are really standing in a brand new vision, a brand new perspective on what life is and what is important to us. And we really do just have a totally different kind of vibe to be sitting in. So we are going to feel a huge shift in the most positive way with this particular aspect. Now, the moon is going to go ahead and trine, which is a positive energy, with Chiron, who is retrograde in Aries energy. This is the wounded healer. And because this particular interaction is very, very positive and very upbeat, this does scream that we are really kind of growing through what it is that we're going through, and in the process really healing some of the wounds that we thought were going to be alive and well for a very long time. This is a shift in energy. If you haven't felt the shift over the last 2 days in energy, you will definitely be feeling it now. This is going to show us what it is that we are now open to pursuing, open to bossing up to, open to learning. And although, we still have some fears and doubts and insecurities and questions, the boldness and the bravery that is coming through right now for us to kind of tap into our warrior spirit and tackle whatever it is that we have to tackle to do good and to be better, that is the vibe that we are currently working with. Now, the moon goes ahead and squares, which is getting into the boxing ring and fighting it out with the true node. The true node, of course, trying to get us on the right path, on the right direction. And the moon entering into the boxing ring with the true node at this point in time is a little bit frustrated, a little bit overly dramatic, if I do say so myself, because we feel like we should have everything figured out, and we don't, and that's okay. We're still in the eclipse energy. The eclipse door technically won't be slammed shut and closed until the new moon in Sag that we will be having later next week. And so there's still a lot of us questioning, and a lot of this questioning is coming from the intellect and not from the heart space. And with the moon being in Leo, we want to connect with the heart space, if anything else. And right now, there's a lot of fears, a lot of doubts, a lot of insecurities coming in from our egoic intellect that is really kind of snuffing out, I would say, our wants, needs, and desires that our heart space is aligned with. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Jupiter in not the nicest way. Now, this is an opportunity for us to see where it is that we're being asked to kind of change directions in life, to reconnect with our higher selves, to listen to our intuition over our intellect, and maybe even over our heart space. Even though the intuition is highly connected to the heart space, sometimes we can be sitting too heavily in ego in order to actually listen to what it is that our heart wants, needs, and desires. And therefore, when we listen to our higher self and our intuition, we can blend that information together and then let our heart lead. The moon interacting with Jupiter at this particular point in time, though, is definitely going to turn the volume all the way up on the feels. And the feels at this particular point in time likely aren't feeling as good as we would like. And again, the dramatic energy from this Leo moon can definitely kick in at this particular point in time, and maybe even create a little bit of a tantrum, a little bit of a performance that we will have to clean up a little bit later. Mercury goes ahead, bumps into Chiron, and not in the nicest way. And let me just say that, Mercury only has about a day and a half left in the Scorpio energy as well before he follows Venus into Sag energy as well, which means that he's at his final degrees in the Scorpio energy, which means that things are intense. And I would say with this particular interaction that our mental health takes a little bit of a dive. I would say that we adopt a little bit of a negative narrative. We're a little bit obsessive, a little bit paranoid. We have all the wrong kinds of dialogues in our head. And Chiron, of course, being the wounded healer, is tapping into those wounds instead of, aligning with the observer mentality and seeing where it is that we have an opportunity for growth. I will give you a cautionary note. We are very, very likely to kind of speak out and project a lot of our fears and doubts and insecurities and wounds out onto other people in a very unfair way. Again, when you're hurt, you tend to want to hurt others. And that is not the best vibe. That is the ego acting, not the higher self. But we could definitely see situations, if you're not careful, to be spitting some lies, spitting some hate, spitting some negativity out into the world that is merely just showing other people how hurt and how wounded and how scared you actually are at this particular point in your path. The moon goes ahead and squares Uranus, the great awakener, retrograde in Taurus energy. This particular energy is likely going to add some anxiety to the mix, some uncertainty, if you will. We're feeling a little bit isolated, a little bit cold, a little bit rigid in our thinking, in our thoughts, in our feelings. And because this moon in Leo is really just wanting to express ourselves to the fullest, we're having a hard time even trying to articulate what it is that's going on within us. And so if we are put in a position where our plans get kind of derailed or some new information comes at us or basically any surprises come out of the woodwork, we likely aren't going to react so well. We are likely going to over dramatize the situation, and we are likely going to be a little bit overly dramatic in our expression. Again, not really being able to understand how we're thinking and feeling within ourselves is not going to pose for a very good situation if we open our mouths and start speaking from a very unstable, unbalanced place within us. The moon gives us a little bit of help, though, bumps into Neptune in a very positive way. This is our higher self. This is our intuition. This is our spiritual self. And it does kind of feel like the squeeze that had been put on our ego selves over the last couple of hours is definitely coming to a head. And there is a shift where we're able to align with our higher selves and kind of observe. Wow, didn't we get stuck in the ego funk? Wow, didn't we just miss the opportunity for growth? Wow, couldn't we have handled things differently? And in this particular situation, aligning with our higher selves, acting as the observer, listening to our intuition, we're actually able to grasp a vision, to grasp a dream on what it is that we are working towards and what it is that we just did earlier in the day that was not in alignment with who it is that we want to be, who it is we desire to be, who it is that we need to be in order to create the kind of vision, the kind of dream, the kind of goal that we're currently realizing. So then we have the sun, who is in Scorpio energy, making a very uncomfortable interaction with Mars. Mars co-rules over Scorpio energy, so this intensifies things. Mars is retrograde in Gemini energy, so we are cut down the middle, divided, if you will. Gemini energy, the twins. Really kind of the pros and cons of everything. And of course, Mars is already frustrated from not being able to move forward and exert his life force energy out in the world in the way that he would like to go after the path, the passions, the desires that, of course, he is now wanting to pursue. So what we get here is a cluster F of energy. This is a huge obstacle, a huge challenge. Not that things were going very well for us early in the day, but we finally reached a peak where everything was going to be fine. And this cluster F's that vibe. This comes down to feeling conflicted within ourselves, what we want versus what we want to do versus what we think we should do. And then what we need versus what it is that we want or desire. Keep in mind that Scorpio energy is very extreme. So there's always, two different polarized points to choose from. And Gemini energy is offering us two different paths, two different ideas, two different directions. And this is why we're kind of feeling conflicted. And this is why we're feeling torn apart at this particular point in the day. And it doesn't feel good. And this is going to put us very much on the fence about some of the things that maybe we were certain about in the hours or even the days before. And now we're questioning everything because, again, just when you take one step forward in life, that dark force energy wants to pull you back and tear things apart and keep you in a state of paralysis. And so we're just kind of out of sorts with this particular energy, with this particular aspect. And this would be a good time because Mars is retrograde to kind of take a step back, cool ourselves down, see the situation for what it is from a observer or third party type of perspective, and really kind of revise our plans, our choices, our options, our energy. Retrograde gives us a chance to reflect, redo, revise, revisit, reconnect, realign. And that's what Mars is doing in this Gemini energy, is a review on what it is that we actually want, what we need, what we desire, what we're passionate about, where we do want to exert our energy to make things happen. Of course, we're not really gifted with the opportunity to go ahead and do that. This is a thinking game. And right now we have to kind of revise our plans, make some edits to those plans, and recalibrate, realign, and rebalance ourselves, because this definitely will be a little bit of a wrench into the energy of the day. Lastly, we have the moon in a direct opposition with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is in Aquarius energy. So Leo and Aquarius energy sits across from one another in the zodiac wheel. The Leo energy is the heart and soul of the zodiac, very, very representative of the individual, right? Of our individual unique talent, our individual unique selves. What are we bringing to the world? And of course, the Aquarian energy over there is like, you know what? Turn down your light in order to fit in. Do what you think other people want you to do or expect of you, and stop trying to kind of blaze your own path over there, right? So it's the individual versus the group. It's me as the person versus the collective with everybody else. Now, Saturn is now direct in Aquarian energy, was retrograde for the past 5 months, should have taught us where it is that we have to have better boundaries. Boundaries in what? Well, boundaries within our personal relationships to make sure that we're not constantly sacrificing what we want, need, and desire as an individual in order to put that on the back burner to do what we think other people expect of us or want us to do. That has gotten us nowheres. So there is a balance that needs to be had between showing up for other people and showing up for ourselves.